So we have the artist is Danger Mouse and Daniele Luppi, and the track by them features Jack White. Now, I'm quite certain you know at least two of those three names. Do you happen to know all three names?
You're a big fan of Loopy. Not heard of the other two. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Les Audiophiles. My name's John. His name is Andy. Millions of peaches. Peaches for me. Millions of peaches. Peaches for free. More on that later. But first, we have a song to listen to. Andy, brother, what have we got in store today?
Well, we've got a question of mine that I've never posed answered by that intro, so I will avoid that album in the future. We have today, though, for this episode, a track. Now, this is a bit of a collaboration here. So we have the artist is Danger Mouse and Daniele Luppi, and the track by them features Jack White. Now, I'm quite certain you know at least two of those three names. Do you happen to know all three names?
You're a big fan of Loopy. Not heard of the other two. Yeah, crikes DM, as they say, Mr. Danger Mouse. I just immediately picture him now, having known about him for years but never seen him. I just picture him behind the drums now, as soon as I think of him. But yeah, so no, I've not heard of Loopy.
Okay.
Loopy Lou.
Fair. And that's, as you can imagine and piece together with your little joke there, that's the one I assumed you were not familiar with, which is completely fine. The track by them that features Jack White is called Two Against One. So please give this thing a go and come back and let me know your thoughts on it, my friend.
Okie dokie. Will do.
Make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. And if you think that there is shelter in this attitude, where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude?
Interesting start. It's that nice guitar. It's kind of a circular riff. Then in come the drums a knock in, and joined by the bass, and Mr. White starts singing. He's got that. He sings in different styles, and this style is that one where he is very particular in his diction, very much like Chris Morris and when they did the Day to Day, which is the TV version of On the Hour, they take the piss out of the news. They had these local TV reporters that enunciated everything really deliberately, and just kind of taking the piss out of real life. You know, that's what happens. And he's a little, oh, not in that comedic way, but he does sing a bit like this. And that first four lines was there's quite a lot to it. Got a bit of it. I'm just going to whiz it back and say it again. But it's interesting because he delivers it well. He scrambles the delivery across, the scanning of the lines really nicely, and it works with this type of voice rather than his sort of screechy bluesy voice. Okay, let's just go back. And there's also like a rim shot or a wooden block going to the drums, and that with the ding 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 sort of guitar just makes you feel like time, big clock, whether it's being measured or time is pressing, but there's definitely this idea of time and seconds ticking. All right, let's go back a wee bit.
Make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. And if you think that there is shelter in this this attitude? Where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude? I
Okay. So yeah, something about make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. It was the way he scans it. I keep my enemies closer, runs in, then my mirror ever gets to me, and again, he just about does it before it falls off the end of the line. And there's something about you think there's shouting your attitude. One for my gratitude. I think those two were interesting. Anyway, but yeah, and there was just a little vocal bit coming in there.
warmth of my gratitude. I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one? The mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. And if it looks to me like you and your reflection plan to add your own fight to this dimension, they'll tell it that this ain't no free for all to see. There's only 3. It's just you and me against me. I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one? The mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one.
That's nice.
And if your foot's on too sick of bouncing yes men plan to break into the middle of this little plan, then they should plan to hear me say that I won't play around the way. Anyway, I plan to
That's nearly over. Yeah, just a few points I'm noticing. There's a lot of mentions of like mirrors and reflection. Yeah, it seems to be a song about identity, I guess. Yeah, you wonder. The term reflection can mean a lot of things. It's the mirror image, obviously, of somebody, but also reflection. You can reflect back energy or sound. But also it means to think deeply about something, usually about an experience or your actions, to reflect upon them. So there's different sort of things going on there. It's interesting. There's definitely something to do with identity. There's 2 versus 2 against 1. Sorry. At one point, he said that there's you and me against me, so it's 3 or something. Yeah, and the vocals that come in, so they were repeating in the chorus 1 and 1 at the beginning and the first line, and then the word gun, and in between there's sort of almost this mumbling back, background vocals, and then this last verse here is full on, like it's progression in terms of the amount of other voices, and whether that indicates other voices in his head or what. There's this conflict, obviously. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll just whiz about a bit back so we get that.
yes men plan to break into the middle of this little plan, then they should plan to hear me say that I won't play around the way. Anyway, I plan around them. I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one? The mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it's an interesting song. Musically quite simple. I think I detected a harpsichord in the second verse according to my notes. But yeah, that guitar is really nice. There was a little break, wasn't there, after the second chorus, where the electric guitar sort of developed a little bit, and then the bass sounds become a little bit freer, but it lasted about 5 seconds, and then he went into that third verse, which is a shame. That could have gone on for longer. Such a short song, but I really enjoyed the drums on this. Though again, they're really fluid, and all the transitions were these mini fills and but it wasn't flashy at all. I can't remember hearing any cymbals actually, which is probably made it more tranquil rather than anything. I'd have to check on that, but so yeah, that's just come to me. No cymbals. Interesting. For muses. So yeah, overall, really enjoyed this. The nature of the delivery makes you sort of think how. I just get this feeling this is to do with sort of him battling against an institution, rather. It's certainly not. This is the conflict is romantic, then you're in real problems here. This feels to me like mental health issues, and this guy, the narrator, is almost by the end of it. It starts off it's 2 against 1, so it's 2 against him, as it were. And by the end of it, it's 2 against 1. It's the narrator is the 2, and the subject of the song is the 1. That's how I felt. But no, we need to find out more about this, so let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, so you're back. What was your experience giving this song a listen, John?
Yeah, interesting. So it starts with this sort of Spanish almost sounding acoustic guitar, and it has this circular riff that kind of reminded me in a way of the Westminster chimes. I don't know if you're familiar. Classic. Ding 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 from the Palace of Westminster, Big Ben, etc. So it's just the way that the riff sort of goes, slightly changing, but it all comes round in a circular. And those ding 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 supposed they represent the quarter of an hour. So how many of them here represent those like quarter past, half past,
Yeah,
to all full out? You don't need to know that. But anyway, in come the drums, sort of kind of knocking on the door. Da, 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 da. And tagging along behind them is idiot cousin, the bass, and then Mr. White starts singing, and he has different styles to the way he sings, and this one he utilizes is the one where he's very particular with his diction. I referenced Chris Morris and the Day to Day, which is a television program in this country that came from a radio show called On the Hour, where they spoof news programs and the way news is presented and the content. And there's a bit in it of, they have some really stupid names, but they go to a local regional television news presenter, and they always talk like this, and they enunciate really correctly and over. And it's not quite that, but it kind of just in my head reminded me of that. But of course, it fits quite well, particularly that first verse with, and I think following ones, quite slightly verbose lyrics. I mean, there's a lot of words, and he has this kind of run along scanning, which also works quite well and fits with the way he's singing the voice, so it all ticks the boxes. While he's doing this during the first verse, and I think subsequent ones, but there's this really nice, I don't know if it's a rim shot or if it's a wooden block, but you get this going along with the drum, and it gives this sort of tick-tock feeling. Now, with that and the sort of riff from the guitar, it all gives a sense of time being measured, whether it's time passing or time pressing, but there's an awareness of, something still ticking away. Perhaps a time bomb. Anyway, first verse, I pulled it back to make it, and I think I got most of it. It's interesting how he runs it. So it's like, make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. I love the way he almost fell off the cliff at the end of that line, but he managed to get it all in before the lights turned. And then the next couple of lines, I think something about, if you think the shelter in this attitude, wait till you feel warmth of my gratitude. And I think gratitude and attitude have been bunged in just to be interchangeable. It's quite an odd phrasing anyway, but interesting. And then the next, which I've found out later, is the chorus. And again, there's some interesting stuff goes on here. There's added vocals, and they emphasize certain words, and then they sort of group mumble the rest. So it starts off with, they say the 1, and he sings, I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1, and they sing 1 again. And then in between, there's sort of it's sort of a murmur adding to his vocals. He's singing, "I'm already fighting me. So what's another one? The mirror is a trigger. Your mouth's a gun." And they sing gun. And it's kind of a little bit sing-songy and a bit eerie as well. That sort of childlike, creepy horror sort of thing. And it's not quite there, but it's get the same. You get the same feelings to it. I don't know if it's supposed to represent inner dialogue, as in within his own head. And then it says, yeah, talking about for me, I'm not the only one. It then goes into the next chorus, the next verse, sorry. And I think in this verse, I think it was like some harpsichord sounding keyboard going along with it. But the rest of the music's fairly simple. And I catch a couple of lines. I'm thinking about other stuff at this point. I catch other lines, talking about your reflection and then adding a fight to this dimension. And then it ends with there's only three. It's just you and me against me, I think he says. Then it's back into the chorus. So there's clearly a bunch of stuff going on about identity, and with it, conflict. So we get this mirror stroke reflection, and the references to that are interesting. It makes me think of the other meanings of reflection, not just a mirror image, but a reflection can be a return of energy or sound or light. Hence a reflection of an image. But also a reflection can mean about thinking deeply about your experience or an action you've done as well, which I don't think is the case here. But it's interesting how he references about how it's getting closer than the mirror, which I guess is like the reflection of himself or his personality or character. And the mirror is a trigger. It says it in the chorus as well. So it's all interesting stuff. At the end of that second chorus, we get a mini break. When I say mini break, there's a smidgen of quite nice, pleasant guitar, and the bass becomes expressive for all of about 5 seconds. And then we go into the next verse. Now, in this verse, it's delivered in multiple voices, which is, I think, is the direction of travel for this song. The drums is also a touch more expressive here, and I'll get back to that in a sec. So whether the pretense has slipped on this or it is indeed progression, but it feels like, these multiple voices have been creeping up, and now they're given free rein. And it almost feels like towards the end, at the start, the narrator's saying it's 2 against 1, meaning 2 people against himself. And by the end of it, you kind of feel it's 2, as in the narrator is 2 against 1, the subject almost. There's some lines about foot soldiers, sycophants, and yes men, and then sort of a plan breaking in the middle or something. I didn't catch that anyway. And another chorus and we're done. So yeah, this is a short song, quite simple musically in a way. But it's kind of just very pretty and simple. But I really, really enjoyed the drums in particular. I thought that they were really fluid, and all the transitions were doing these sort of mini fills and expressions. And I knew at the end, I didn't check back, but it just struck me. I don't think I remember hearing a cymbal once. There's no crashing, which then made this fluid in terms of the drums. It was very, again, made me think of drum music. But yeah, it was really nice. The guitar was lovely sounding as well, and the vocals were great. So yeah, overall, I just get this impression, and nothing to base it on, but this is like the conflict. If it's romantic, it's really fucked up. But I think it's almost like institutional conflict against intervention or something. I don't know. It just seems like a very fucked up guy.
Yeah,
there you go. That's my thoughts.
no, that's fair, and I think you're pretty much right. There's like this, there's like shades of vengeance to it. There's also like it's like a fever dream kind of scenario again that could only be had inside the mind of someone who's a little off, as you kind of alluded to the character being. So yeah, I would agree with you. Without knowing exactly what it's about, there's definitely conflict between 2 parties, while also there is also this conflict within self that's occurring as well, which I guess is how you get this sort of triangulation of, who's at fault and who's against who and all this stuff in the narrative that is really interesting and delivered in an interesting way, especially for Jack, because all the different ways that he goes about singing. This is one to me that I find more intriguing and less just like enjoyable on face value, which a lot of his more bluesy stuff is, you know what I mean? But yeah, I suppose we can start with a quick recap of Danger Mouse, since he has appeared on the channel before, when we discussed his collaborative efforts with James Mercer of the Shins on our Broken Bells videos. So yeah, Brian Joseph Burton, born July 29th, 1977, is known professionally as Danger Mouse, and he's an American musician and record producer. He came to prominence in 2004, and I think I've mentioned this in the past, when he released the Gray album, which is this amazing sort of mesh of Jay-Z's The Black Album from a lyrical standpoint, vocal standpoint, over top of all these interesting remixes of the Beatles' White Album. So you take the White Album, you take the Black Album, and you get Danger Mouse's Gray Album. That really put him on the map, and he then formed Gnarls Barkley with CeeLo Green in 2006 and produced its albums Saint Elsewhere and The Odd Couple. I'm sure you're quite familiar with their output. In 2009, he collaborated with the aforementioned Mercer on the indie rock band The Shins to form Broken Bells. The band have released 3 albums, with Into the Blue in 2022 being their most recent. Burton collaborated with rapper MF Doom as Danger Doom on The Mouse and the Mask, and with the Roots MC Black Thought, one of the most prolific rappers of all time, on the album Cheat Codes. Danger Mouse produced the second Gorillaz album, 2005's Demon Days, Beck's 2008 record Modern Guilt, and 4 albums with the Black Keys: Attack and Release, Brothers, El Camino, and Turn Blue. In 2016, he produced, performed on, and co-wrote songs for the 11th studio album by the Red Hot Chili Peppers titled The Getaway. He has produced and co-written albums by Norah Jones, Little Broken Hearts, Electric Guest, Mondo, Portugal, The Man, Evil Friends, Adele, 25, and A$AP Rocky, At Long Last A$AP. In 2008, Esquire named him one of the 75 most influential people of the 21st century. He has been nominated for 22 Grammy Awards and has won 6. He has also been nominated in the Producer of the Year category 5 times and won the award in 2011. His counterpart on this album, Daniele Luppi, born January 1st, 1972 in Padua, Italy, is an Italian film and television composer and music producer. Luppi has scored several films, including Assassination of a High School President, starring Bruce Willis, and the indie film Bad Habits. His television work includes an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Original Main Title Theme Music for Netflix's Marco Polo and Stars' Magic City. Beyond his scoring work, Luppi has released a series of albums inspired by different eras of Italian music. His first album, An Italian Story, was inspired, according to Luppi, by vintage 1960s and 70s soundstage compositions and features contributions from members of Mark IV. Milano, Luppi's 2017 album featuring Karen O and Parquet Courts, is the final volume in the series, focusing on Italian music. Milano explores Luppi's experiences in 1980s Milan. Luppi has written collaborative arrangements for The Getaway by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Gnarls Barkley's debut, Saint Elsewhere. You're starting to see the Venn diagram between the two gentlemen here. And the self-titled album by Broken Bells as well. He also contributed string arrangements for John Legend's R&B album, Once Again, Get Lifted, and Faith No More, Mr. Bungle frontman Mike Patton. So he has done a lot of collaborative work. This track we listened to today features on 2011's Rome, an album written by American producer Danger Mouse and the Italian composer, obviously, Luppi. The album took 5 years to make and was inspired by music from spaghetti westerns. So I don't know if you caught any of that in this one track, but the whole album is supposed to sort of be an homage to spaghetti westerns. The album
Well,
was
I guess the sort of conflict bit, you can imagine close up of people's eyes.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
I guess. Now
absolutely.
you've said it.
The album was recorded using vintage equipment and as well as featuring musicians who recorded spaghetti western soundtracks. Also, it also features a reunited Cantori Moderni, the choir put together by Alessandro Alessandroni that performed on the soundtrack of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, perhaps the, quintessential movie when you're trying to tap into those sounds on this album. The album also includes vocals by American singers Jack White on the tracks The Rose of the Broken Neck, Two Against One, and The World, and Norah Jones on the tracks Seasons Trees, Black, and Problem Queen. Also, it should be noted that White additionally chose to provide lyrics for his three songs, so he penned all of these. Over at Metacritic, the album has an aggregate score of 78 out of 100 based on 21 positive reviews and 5 mixed reviews and 0 negative reviews. Robin Hilton of NPR wrote of the album, brooding cinematic orchestrations and twisted tales of madness and desperation made the Danger Mouse Daniele Luppi album Rome one of 2011's most surprising and arresting releases. Pitchfork's Jess Harvell wrote in her review of the album, you can hear composer Daniele Luppi's love and respect for the brooding romanticism, fragile delicacy, and almost psychedelic spaciness of classic Italian soundtracks in just about every note. In his partner Danger Mouse, he's found not only a similarly smitten collaborator, but a producer who's made a career out of accurately capturing the atmosphere of old records without coming off sterile. At Drowned in Sound, writer Neil Ashman discussed this track in his review of the album. It shouldn't come as a surprise, but Jack White sure does have the right kind of voice for a gunslinger, which is all the more evident on Two Against One. White sneering, the mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun, as the brittle twang of parched guitar, acoustic finger picking, and soulful backing choir combined playfully on one of the record's finest compositions. So let's jump into these interesting lyrics. Make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. And if you think that there is shelter in this attitude, wait till you feel the warmth of my gratitude. I get the feeling that it's two against one. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one? The mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. And if it looks to me like you and your reflection plan to add your own fight to this dimension, then tell it this ain't no free-for-all to see. There's only three. It's just you and me against me. I get the feeling that it's two against one. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one? The mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. And if your foot's on to stick 1,000 yes men, plan to break into the middle of this little plan, then there's your plan to hear me say that I won't play around the way. Anyway, I plan to plan around them. I get the feeling that it's two against one. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one? The mirror is a trigger and your mouth's a gun. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. Lucky for me, I'm not the only one. So yes, Two Against One is Jack White's first song to be released post-White Stripes split, a collaboration set for Brian Danger Mouse Burton and Daniele Luppi's new record, Rome. The album has been 5 years in the making, but has it been worth the wait? All signs point to one conclusion: yes. Gentle classical guitars pluck away with an anxious White mostly murmuring the lyrics. The bass blooms, the drums roll, and it's all a rather understated affair, but something Jack has much prior experience in, and it suits him well. So, there you have it. Thanks for giving this one a go, John. I just think it's really pretty guitar work in this. As you mentioned, I think you said Spanish guitar is probably not much difference in that sort of mainland Europe finger picking style that you might have in Italy as you would in Spain or something like that. But my God, I just think it's so pretty. And as you rightly put it, and so did that last blurb, the bass really begins to shine as the song progresses as well. And it's got this really interesting thought-provoking narrative going for it too. So, and honestly, anything with Jack White and Danger Mouse for that reason is good enough reason to bring it to the channel. So, thanks again so much for giving this a listen, John. I appreciate your time, buddy.
No, I appreciate it as well. It's great.
Awesome. Guys out there in the listening audience, please let us know what you thought of this very collaborative track, 2 Against 1. If there's anything else off this album, Rome, that you really dug, please feel free to give it a shout out down. There's a couple tracks with Norah Jones on here. She has this kind of like eroticism to her voice sometimes, and in some of her features on this track, it kind of shines in that light particularly well too. So it's definitely worth checking out. Very artsy album in general, but very cool. So please, guys, give any of those tracks a shout. Any other artists or tracks that we should check out on the album, let us, or on the channel we should check out, let us know. We'll add it to our growing list. And please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. We really do appreciate it. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.